All right, thank you for staying with us. This morning, essentially, we're looking at the state of the nation, actually, because this is something we do intermittently and periodically for us to access where we are right now as a people, those in governance, and we, the citizens, in which they have a statutory obligations, to see to their welfare. How are we doing that? How are we contributing to the national discourse ourselves? And to help us with that, we have a very, very patriotic Nigerian here. He is a lawyer, public affairs analyst, and associate professor of economic history at the Femi University, Ile-Ife, Dr. Adetunji Ogunyemi. He's here with us virtually. Good morning, sir. Good to have you again.
Good morning.
Thank you very much. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
All right. And, Prof, let's start with, the rise in the cost of living. Talk in general. We are going to be looking at different subtopics, but let's start here. The rising cost of living, especially with the state of the nation right now, the inflation at all-time high, food inflation, more than 40%. And it seems the policies of the government, many persons were hopeful to say, okay, we are going to stop the payment of a subsidy for us to have enough to take care of other things so that we don't just keep enriching just a few people. Nigerians grumbled, but then many of them believed, okay, maybe we are going to have, something good to celebrate. But at the end of the day, it seems the payment of the subsidy really never stopped. But at the end of the day, they said it is called shortfall. It is no more payment. And these are some of the issues. Okay, we have enough fuel, to, consume as a nation. We have had disruptions, more than 3 or 4 in this administration. I just say, what exactly is going on? And where are we? Just increasing fuel and fuel. Now the grammar, the jargon, the oil sector, people having those discussions, and they are saying these are the reasons, these are not the reasons. But for Nigerians, somebody in Lagere, in Ile-Ife, somebody in Itakogu, in Ilesha, somebody in Old Garage, Shogbo will be saying, all those things are not my concern. I just want to work. I can work. Don't give me money, but make the policies favorable. But it seems the policies are not favorable. Now I feel as reason to at least more than 1,100 naira, and Nigerians are groaning. Many people are angry. Many of them are confused. Prof, why are we here, or what is going on?
It will be grossly insensitive not to admit that we are in dire straits and that the conditions of the living conditions of the Nigerian personnel is extremely very difficult. It will not be good not to acknowledge that. And I think Nigerians know that for sure, that their living conditions are extremely very difficult now. The government has also...
Prof, are you with us, sir? All right, we'll try and reconnect and establish that connection again. And it's a good way that the prof has started to say. It's obvious, and it will be very insensitive not to acknowledge where Nigerians are right now. It's obvious, even if the people in the government know, but either they care is another thing. I'm not sure anybody, no matter how placed you are, no matter how disconnected. Prof, are you with us now, sir?
I'm with you, perfectly with you.
Please go ahead, sir.
So, we in this country should just believe now that we have nothing more other than to try to see whether we can be a little more productive and to save ourselves from abject poverty. Some states have taken steps. Can you still hear me, sir?
Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
Some states have taken steps to at least deal with the food sector, the food part, the food supply or food production part of our problem, which is really more than half of the pressure on inflation. Food-driven inflation takes over almost 65% of the inflationary rate, the headline inflation that we have. States have begun, because it is within the purview of the state really to help mobilize efforts for the production of food by acquiring land, getting machine and equipment, setting up an endowment fund for youth who are ready to go into agriculture, to borrow, and then to go into food production. I have advised the Osun State government at the investment summit that it held, a very successful investment summit that it held recently, that they should go into partnership with local governments. Local governments are now supposed to be more responsible than before, acquire land, distribute the land, and use the equipment that the Osun State government has just imported. Osun State government has just imported some tractors, and then let youth be involved in at least food production. Cassava is one of the best that grows in the southwest, and cashew nuts. Even his eminence, the team of Ede, advised this too in the same summit. So I think that's what we can do now, because we sitting down to endlessly lament will not solve any problem. It will not solve anything. The correct thing is to roll up our sleeves and see what we can do in the area of food production. So the situations are very dire. No, there's no doubt about it. And actually, the middle class have been wiped off. The middle class no longer exist. In Nigeria, it's either you are poor now or you are extremely very rich.
Exactly. You know, Prof, many will agree to say yes, the subnational states have a role to play. They always have a role to play. Either the economy is good or bad, and it cannot be business as usual. We have to be really, decisive and intentional to make life better for our people at the state level, at the local government level, and that's why that call has been made severally, by the monarch and of course yourself and many well-meaning Nigerians. But let's look at the national policy of the government, because there are some of those things that are beyond the purview of the subnationals. The petrol thing, because it appears at the end of the day, Prof, I must tell you, as the fourth estate of the realm, and that we mirror the society, that many Nigerians feel, swindled, that they have been lied to. May 29, subsidy payment is gone, and okay, here we are. Almost 40, there have been denials and denials, no subsidy is being paid. The NNPCL a few months ago came out to say for the past 9 months, as at when they had their press briefing, to say they have not paid any subsidy to anybody, but many persons have been coming out to say you guys are still paying. By the end of the NNPCL said, okay, what we are doing is, the government will tell us that there is a shortfall whenever petrol is being imported, sell it at a particular price, and that shortfall, you people should take care of it, and that's what they have been doing. I just said, wait a minute, I have a dozen and six. What's the difference? Why are you swindling us? Why are you sweet-talking us into lies and lies? And that is where we are right now. At the end of the day, it's increased to 600, 680, 990. Today is around 1,100 and 1,300 now, depending on where you are buying. Do you trust, do you judge the government of the day sincere enough that ab initio it was all a lie, or is just what it is, so to speak?
I was holding my chuckle at your lamentation.
Yeah.
Very, very liberal lamentation. Every Nigerian feels what you are feeling. But let me tell you that the petroleum sector, the practices and operations in the petroleum sector is so opaque anywhere in the world, that you may be surprised that the deep state handle many of the things. And if the truth are to be revealed to the ordinary persons, there may be an implosion. See, when government says the subsidy is removed, and that later on people say, oh, the subsidy is still being paid, are they saying that government should allow the Nigerian citizen the full wrath of the market forces? Is there no opportunity for government to intervene in certain areas where they see that if the exact price, because NNPC does not produce any petrol, doesn't produce any diesel, doesn't produce any AGO, doesn't produce any kerosene, doesn't produce any even 1 liter of jet fuel. So it imports. So if it imports, are Nigerians saying, if government says subsidy is removed and still they are cushioning some aspect of it, are they saying that, oh, you should have allowed us to be paying 2,000 naira per liter. Is that the argument? See, when certain things are done, our government says, I'm removing period subsidy from the particular social product. And later on, government sees that the social consequences may be dire, and it decides to at least take off certain costs of the people. That should not be seen as a lie. That's actually social responsibility of the government.
Really?
See, it takes time. Yeah, it takes time for people who have been enjoying subsidy for more than 40 years to win themselves out of a regime that is not subsidized. So they'll be angry. It's normal. It's just a natural response. Subsidy have been in this country since the 1970s, early 70s. In fact, I dare to say 1972. That's more than 40 years. So if it is not being removed, and is it not true that subsidy is removed? The proof is that it is removed. The extent of removal is a different thing. If people are saying, oh, you are still paying subsidy in some respect, so what? Is subsidy not being paid on education here in the Osun State? Are the students, are the children of our people and our children, are they going to school in Osun State paying full blast what they're supposed to pay? Otherwise, in primary school, no child should pay less than 100,000 naira per term. Government is subsidizing education. Is that the only thing government is subsidizing? No. Government is subsidizing many things. So it is the fact that government has not allowed the full blast of the cost to come upon the citizenry cannot be seen as a blame on government. It is how to manage a group of people that have been on a subsidy regime for 42 years. Takes time. Look, is it not true now that even with the war, if you like, problem in the Middle East, that the price of a barrel of crude is now increasing significantly as a result of the Iran-Israeli disagreement, Hamas-Israeli war, Israel-Lebanon crisis? Now, if the full blast of that is allowed to come upon the people within the system, will it not lead to a social implosion? Is it not true when government now say, okay, well, the price is 998 naira per liter, and the price of crude oil is increasing? Is it not supposed to be automatically that the price will increase relative to the percentage at which it has increased at the international market? Does your government produce petrol? It does not. It only produces crude, and crude is unusable until it is refined. So there cannot be any argument of government lying. It is not true. This part of the social media way of just giving the dog a bad name in order to hang it. It is true that government has removed subsidy. That's correct. But it has not removed all of it, because it cannot remove all of it, because it is going to be suicidal for any government to try to do that, to allow the full weight of the price regime to fall upon its citizens. So if there can be any way by which it can use tax or fiscal policy to say, okay, we waive all import duties. Do you know that government collects taxes from itself too? Government in NNPC, which was part of government. If it imports, custom will collect duties from it, even though the two of them are in government. How about that? So if government now says, okay, I waive your import duties, is that not a kind of subsidy? In fact, that's first class subsidy. And government subsidized MTN, Globalcom, Airtel, all of them. When they brought in their equipment into this country for the first 10 years, they subsidized them by not allowing them to pay the full tariff. In fact, Globalcom got a tax-free regime for about 4 years for that company to be able to compete effectively with MTN, to bring in cost per second rather than per minute that MTN was charging us before.
All right.
See, this is the time for us to just find a way to encourage ourselves and not be discouraged by all kinds of negative talk. It doesn't work.
All right, Prof. Now, as you have explained it, Nigerians were actually looking forward to the handlers of the government to actually come out with such explanation. Probably, perhaps, if that explanation was given to the people, they would understand more, because there were several times people called out the government asking them, what are you still paying subsidy? What exactly is it you are paying? And over some time before they finally came out with a shortfall narrative that there was no money coming out of the purse of the government, to subsidize in any way, form, the oil sector. So why come out later on with this shortfall narrative? Does this not speak to the sincerity of those at the helm of affairs?
I rather say that it speaks to the failure of communication. You see, it is this government is behaving like a baby when it comes to the information management. You will even wonder if you knew the name of the Minister of Information. I mean, it is so clear that the government is not managing information well at all. And when Ajuri Ngelale was there, he did more of conflicting and fighting with Onanuga than he did of explaining any of these things. The truth of the matter is that government is shooting itself in the foot by assuming that Nigerians will know what is in its own file without explaining to the people. That's where the problem is. And when they come out to explain, rather than break it down transparently, then they begin to give some opaque explanation, as if the oil industry is an esoteric business. You know, I know there are certain things in the oil business that cannot be spoken out. That's the truth. Particularly, how much does it cost to produce even crude, to bring a barrel of crude? Do you know the barrel of crude in Nigeria costs between $35 and $40 to bring it out? Is that not too expensive? Saudi Aramco, we only use $27 to bring in one barrel. And an average Nigerian, for example, when they say Nigeria is producing 1.5 billion barrels, and he knows that a barrel of oil is $78 per barrel. You know what the average Nigerian would do? He will just multiply $78 by 1.5 million barrels per day and say this is how much Nigeria is earning. But that is not true. That is voodoo mathematics. When you are doing a thing, you remove your cost of production. The cost of production in Nigeria is so high that, including what is called JVCC, joint venture cash calls, by which it will share production with the oil majors, IOCs, that are produced. Is Nigeria the one that is getting the oil from the ground? The answer is no. It is the international oil companies that get the oil from the ground because they have the technical know-how. Nigeria does not have the technical know-how. Nigeria only have flow stations. And after bringing it out, the final cost, will have to be deducted from the total amount you sell the thing. So what comes to Nigeria out of the $78 that is being sold is less than $40. It's less than $40. And so these are part of the things that Nigerians don't know and government don't care to explain. You see, even if it is is akara that you are frying at Oshu and you sell it at 10 naira per ball, is it that 10 naira that is 100% of your profit? Would you remove the cost of the oil,
exactly,
the beans, the transport, everything? Yeah. Now, has NNPCL ever explained this to Nigerians? That see, this thing we are doing, we are not the owner of everything. No, we first of all say, oil company, how much have you produced? Say this, okay, we share. And how do they share? It's on 50-50 basis. And the remainder of that, the 50% of the IOC, government will now tax it. It's called petroleum tax. You see? So that's it. By the time you get the royalty, the petroleum tax, the cost of sale, you remove all of them from the total revenue. What comes to you is less than $40. So it doesn't really pay Nigerians, for example, internally, that the price of crude oil is increasing. It does not pay us because it will increase the total amount that we are going to use to import the refined product. That's the truth. Except an arrangement where we supply our crude to refiners in Malta, in Europe, and some different parts of Europe, and then bring in the same product that we have refined on the basis of using the crude to pay for the refinery. And that is utterly at variance with economic sense because it does not pay us at all.
Sorry,
so
Prof.
When government now says,
yes, sir,
we use crude to bring in refined, that is subsidy par excellence. That's subsidy par excellence.
Yes, sir.
Except now that Dangote now wants to buy the oil at naira with Nigerian naira. I will not pay.
Exactly.
How many
sir.
people know these contradictions?
That is where I'm heading to now. Now, the situation in the Middle East, that is causing increase, in some of these things, and you are giving us a very, very, good explanation to that. That one we expect the handlers of the government to say, instead of being cocky and just doing denial, and I guess are feeling like they are just being, belittled. Now, now that there is a Dangote refinery in place, a very high-tech company, more than, $20 billion worth of investment that is ready, gone full-fledged to say, bring the oil, we are going to be producing. So I'm not sure. Do we still have to export? The politics and all the things that are happening, we'll get to that. But then there is a Dangote world-class refinery that can handle some of these things. Do we still have a need to export our crude, and then all of these things will happen to it, and then we come back to this same point? There is a Dangote, but it seems since this Dangote refinery came on board, it's been from frying pan to fire. And instead of things getting better, Nigerians having, breathing a sigh of relief to say, thank God, finally, maybe things can get better. All of a sudden, petrol now in Nigeria is around 1,100 and 1,300 naira. So where does that leave Dangote refinery, in all of these things? We are supposed to be getting better, isn't it, Prof?
I wonder what you mean by getting better. Does it mean that Dangote will now refine the crude at huge cost and give it to you at less than
the importation thing,
at which it has,
the importation factor will have been removed?
What exactly are you saying? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Good. Dangote is a business. It's not, and it is not a patriotic business. It's just a business that is there to make profit. And the least it can do is to sell at least at 10 naira above the cost of production. That is what it can do. And that is what it should do, but with favorable fiscal policy. And one of the favorable fiscal policies that government has just done is to say, Dangote, you are supposed to pay in dollars. Don't pay in dollars, pay in naira now, so that you don't begin to overheat our foreign exchange market. And government has decided to do that. That's good. Does that mean that it will now lead to reduction in price? The answer is no. The answer is no. What it will only solve is availability. That you are not going to have queues in your first stations any longer. That's availability. Because Dangote, look, the oil business is an international business, and it is done on comparative basis. Because you can have the crude. Do you have the tech? Do you have the electricity supply? You have the equipment? You have the people who will do it? These are also huge cost components of the production of fuel. And look, any government that cannot manage 4 refineries is stopped, has no moral justification to be looking on Dangote to come and help it. What kind of life is that? You could not manage 4 refineries, and one person built one successfully, and you are saying you should use it to sell fuel to you at 0 price. Who does that? So Dangote can only address the issue in respect of supply. That is not a break in supply. Even if Dangote buys all of its capacity, 650,000, Nigeria will still have about 900,000 barrels to sell. So why would Nigeria not sell its crude abroad? It must sell it. If it doesn't, all the states in Nigeria will collapse financially. All of them, except Lagos. They will collapse. Within 1 month, they just collapse. The reason is that the Federation Account Allocation Committee will not have money available for them to share so that they can pay their civil service and use it, as some states do it, in riotous consumption. How about that? So even if Dangote buys 650,000 barrels from Nigeria, Nigeria will still have about 900,000 barrels remaining unsold. So we must export so that we can earn revenue. But we must retain not less than 300,000 barrels for Dangote for local production at naira cost. And after this naira cost, government can say, okay, well, henceforth, the bridging cost, that is the cost of making fuel available at competitive prices between Lagos and Maiduguri, the farthest place in Nigeria, will be, I will pay that one. If it is 50 naira, the cost of transporting, we call bridging cost, I will pay that. That's still another subsidy. Or in the alternative, you can say, IPMAN, Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, who own 75% of all the filling stations in Nigeria, and they are not government. What I will do is that I will reduce the cost. I will reduce your VAT. Let me say that VAT cannot even be reduced. The only thing is that you can waive certain things. Okay, I will waive certain costs so that you can make it available to Nigerians. When they waive it, I tell you, those people will not correspondingly reflect it at the pump price. Nigerians hardly do. You subsidize someone to go to read medicine, to read nursing, to read law. He finishes by reading medicine at 37,000 naira at OAU, 37,000 naira per session. And then he immediately graduates, he leaves the country and go and work abroad. Is that not a loss? So all kinds of Nigerians are leaking, they are taken from the country as if the country has infinite supply of resources. As it happens in the oil industry, it happens in education, it happens in trade, it happens in land supply, in land use, it happens in all the manufactured goods in Nigeria. Was Dangote not subsidized when it's going to the issue of cement? Was he? Now, has cement significantly reduced in price because of that subsidy? What you can say is that cement is available in Nigeria, but the price is prohibitive. So that's how Nigerians behave. It is not only government. We also need attitudinal cure. We need to cure ourselves attitudinally to make our fatherland grow.
Prof, while you were making your statement, you made mention of the 4 refineries and how Nigeria has failed to bring those refineries to operation. Now, I'd like to ask you, with all that you have observed, what do you think is delaying, especially the Port Harcourt refinery, from for coming into full operation? This refinery operation has been, the commencement of the operation of the Port Harcourt refinery has been postponed for 6 times. We had the GMD of the NNPCL coming out every let me use the Nigerian parlance, AK market day, to tell Nigerians that, oh, it's going to come up December last year. Oh, we have intel that it's going to come up April this year. Then later on, oh, by July we should have it in full operation. August, yes, by August, the Port Harcourt refinery will start producing petrol and fuel. Now we are in October, and the Port Harcourt refinery is yet to commence full operation. What is wrong? There are people that are calling for the resignation of Mele Kyari as the GMD of NNPCL, saying that he doesn't know what he is doing. How do you react to this, and what do you observe that is delaying the operation of the Port Harcourt refinery?
With respect to information management from NNPCL, a company, which is not government, it's just a company, from NNPCL, with respect to managing how they manage information, I will say that they are the most irresponsible organization in Nigeria. Most irresponsible. And believe Mele Kyari on anything concerning NNPCL, and you will have your head examined. So NNPCL is a complete disappointment to fatherland. A complete disappointment. It has 2 refineries in Port Harcourt. Combined capacity 60,000. 1 refinery in Delta State. Combined, the total capacity 100,000. Another combined refinery, the largest of them, in Kaduna Petrochemical. Total capacity 200,000. If you put all of them together, it's about 350,000 barrels per day to refine. That's more than enough for local consumption. But in the last 20 years, and I mean 20 years, I'm not just joking. In the last 20 years, NNPC, or whatever you call it, NNPCL, has failed, refused, neglected to produce a single liter of fuel. Just 1 liter. But the more than 5,017 employees, as at the last count, there are 5,017 employees that are working in that NNPC. They have been receiving their salary. They have been getting promotion, including promotion areas. They have been getting monetization areas, and they have been going on leave. They have been going on leave abroad. As somebody who's not producing, that is going on leave, you are producing. Now, were they to be university staff now, you will see how Nigerians will react. So the truth of this is that NNPC, as far as I'm concerned, should be closed down. It's a complete disappointment. What are we doing with 4 refineries that are not working? Sell them off. What does it cost to do a refinery? Dangote has just done one of the largest in Africa, 650,000. He used only 6 years to complete it. And he borrowed money from the central bank, Nigeria Central Bank, not even commercial bank, not deposit money banks. The central bank financed it up to the tune of 13 billion American dollars. It is true that he has paid 75% back, but he's still owing anyway. So the truth of the matter is that, can we not have some of the states combine together to establish our own refineries? Can the development agenda in Western Nigeria not build one in Osogbo? What is so difficult in it? What is in the refinery that ordinary people establish refineries?
Prof,
They are
when
even
you
artisanal
say that
refiners.
those
So what is
refineries
it? So it's just a matter of being financially creative. Nothing stops a state from owning an oil well. You will apply for it, bid for it, and buy oil well. Do you know that Dangote refinery has its own oil well and will be producing in 2025? You will be getting its own crude directly from its own oil well. So what stops Osun State from bidding for and getting its own oil well? What stops it?
All right, Prof. I mean, people called for the resignation of Mele Kyari, but you are calling for the entire NNPCL to be shut down and all the refineries sold.
So that we can at least have some sense.
Then what happens to the billions, that have been invested in the rehabilitation of these refineries? Will it not be a loss to us as a country?
That's how we waste resources. They have gone into the abyss. The billions have gone to the abyss. That's how it is. I mean, what of a road that you built that's supposed to last for not less than 4 years, and within 6 months it collapses? Well, have you ever seen any contractor being jailed because of that in Nigeria? It will just go into the abyss, and that's how it is. That's how we waste resources. And I've advised the tractors that Osun State government has just bought for very serious farmers, serious ones, not portfolio briefcases farmers. No. Yeah. They should watch it very well. Otherwise, you will see some people begin to use it for transportation instead of cultivating the land. And that's what I advise elsewhere, that they should pull it into a particular pool. And serious people, they lease it to them. And then lease it with an agreement that they will repair it if there's anything, if it spoils. That's the only way. Otherwise, you just see people take the tractors as if it is their own share of the state resources. The government has spent billions of naira on getting those very good equipment.
Yeah.
Let people be responsible enough to manage them well. I pray that they do.
All right, Prof, before we go into issues concerning food insecurity, I still want to ask you a question, concerning this oil fuel issues. Some months ago, the NLC accepted the 70,000 naira minimum wage from the government because they said that the government, in that meeting with the government, it was said that if they do not accept the 70,000 naira minimum wage, then they should be ready to buy fuel at 2,000 naira per liter. And according to the NLC president, he said their hands were tied because they do not want to buy fuel at such ridiculous rate, so they accepted to 70,000 naira minimum wage. And of course, it didn't go down without backlash from the people who felt 17,000 naira is not in tandem with the economic reality that we have at hand. Now, just a month or after that, we've had increments in fuel price twice. Now, fuel price is put at 1,000 naira, over 1,000 naira per liter in most locations in the country. How do you react to that, knowing fully well that this will further widen the distrust gap between the people and the government saying one thing and doing the other?
I think it's an overstatement to suggest that government used the price of fuel as a kind of a quid pro quo. Take 70,000, otherwise I increase, or I will not increase, or I will increase and then I pay you more. No, the negotiation with NNPC is more complex than that. Nobody does that kind of a simplistic thing because the price of petrol is not the only determinant of prices in Nigeria.
But that was the argument given by the NLC president when he was explaining to the people why they went for 70,000 naira.
Let me finish. The same NLC president gave 3 gozas to the government. I mean, don't we have the video? They gave 3 gozas. I mean, if they were not so satisfied, would they have given any gozas? Is that not their style? See, industrial elitism, there's no way it can be used as a kind of a blackmail in this country. You can't use any industrial elitism. Have you noticed that some state governments are still crying that they have no capacity to pay 70,000? How about that? So it's not, let's just leave the issue of minimum wage now. What is afflicting us is food. is food. It's not a matter of it. At any rate, how many people are on that minimum wage level? How many people are level 1 officers? Have you tried to count? Do you know what people are trying, the civil servants, the industrial elite are trying to do? They are trying to look for a consequential adjustment using the minimum wage as baseline, thinking that it will add a lot of money to those on level 8, level 12 upwards. Unfortunately, by the time the table came, the table arrives from the National Salaries, Incomes and Wages Commission, people were dazed. Do you know how much it added to my own salary? If government starts to pay 15,000 naira.
You don't
15,000 naira. When, yes, that means when they work the consequential, and I'm professor, they work the consequential, and I've invested almost 30 years of my life doing this work. 15,000 naira.
So the increment you get, Prof,
increase in my salary.
Prof, the increment you get in your salary with the new minimum wage is just 15,000 naira.
15,000. I repeat, 15,000. So when you say 70,000 is paid to someone, you know they will have to work consequential increases relative to those that are seniors. Level 2, level 3, you work it up, isn't it? So that increment is totally insignificant. There's nothing. In fact, government, I just suffered 140,000 naira in my account now that the government said they are paying generally to everybody, whether you are this or they are that. So about 25 or 5% increase somewhere, which they will pay for only 3 months. And do you know how much I pay as tax? 82,000 naira per month. I pay to Osun State government 82,000, and government has added 15,000 to me. See, we feel, all of us feel this thing. There's no longer any kind of a middle class again. There's none. So what we have is what we have to concentrate on now is one, how to solve our problems. Because when you take food out of it, 50% is solved. It's for state government to partner with the local governments. They can no longer dictate to them anyway. Now, with the amendment, with the Supreme Court judgment, to acquire land, physical land, not land that is in the portfolio or portmanteau of a tie-wearing farmer. Acquire land and then mobilize equipment and resources and ask the youth and say, I challenge you, you this youth, that I say you have no work. This is land. These are equipment. This is money you can borrow. At least 2 million naira per person. Now, we want you to produce 20 million metric tons of cassava in Osun State. We intend to export it to China, to their pharmaceutical company that are always requesting for cassava. How about that?
Yeah.
The template, I've given it several times. I gave it to NISA. I spoke it at Osun Investment Summit. I've given it everywhere. That cassava can bring more money than petroleum. I've explained it. So many people are doing that and they are succeeding in Benue State. And I said, no senior lecturer, no principal can say he does not have to invest into agriculture, food. And there is never anything you produce in agriculture, particularly cassava, that there will not be enough mouth to eat it. Have you ever seen anybody produce gari and they say it is expired because there are no mouth to eat the gari? That the gari expired. Immediately you produce it, there are ready buyers. Why are we just neglecting the basics? That's where the solution is. The solution is, in fact, Lagos State has now said, we are going to reduce the number of days you come to work. After all, when some people come to work, they only come to work to bring their cooler, eat. After eating, they drink, they sleep, and then walk away. What do they really do? Apart from the teachers who constantly commute every day, except Saturday and Sunday, to go teach. What do the core civil servants, what do they really do in their offices? So you can excuse them 2 out of the 5 days to go work in their farms. You will be surprised the result within 2 years. Western region government did that kind of agricultural revolution. OAU, Obafemi University, previous University of Ife, was established for the purposes of agriculture. It was primarily for agricultural development of the Southwest. That was the policy which made Obafemi University to come into fruition in the year 1961 by law. So what is it that we cannot do today? Why are we just deliberately thinking that this government will salvage us? No government in Nigeria will ever make you rich. No. You can't collect salary and you become rich. No, you are deceiving yourself. It is the work of your hand that God is ready to bless. Civil service job is the work of government. It's not the work of your hand. So you must get alternatives. And that alternative is approved in law. The code of conduct for public officers, which is in the 5th schedule of the Constitution, allows you to do farming. It says that farming is legit. You can hunt from it, you can make money from it, you can be rich through it by doing farming. Why are we neglecting our comparative advantage? Area of comparative advantage. Why? Why are we always oil? If this oil dries up, are we not going to survive?
All right. Yeah, that's a very big question for government at all levels and even individuals. You have talked about institutions. We should latch on and latch in into this opportunity because either we want it or not, that is what we are going to do. By the way, but let's switch gears now and talk about education, which I know you're very passionate, possibly your biggest forte right now, respectively speaking. People have been talking about, proliferation of higher institutions, establishment of new universities, polytechnics, either privately owned or government owned here and there. Recently we learned about the proposal for the establishment of a new university, I think, of agriculture in Eragbiji or, something like that. And then, Benjamin Kalu, the Deputy Speaker of the House, proposed another university. They call it Bola Tinubu University, and it will take care they said it's for the promotion of the learning of Nigerian languages. And part of its mandate is to encourage the advancement of learning and to hold out to all persons without distinction of race, creed, sex, or political conviction the opportunity of acquiring a higher education in Nigerian languages and cultures, to develop and offer academic and professional programs leading to the award of diplomas, first degree, postgraduate research, and higher degrees with emphasis on planning, adaptive development, and productive skills in the field of Nigerian languages and culture. Prof, many persons are saying this is just political in nature, universities here and there. How well funded are the existing ones? And now that Bola Tinubu University is being proposed for the learning of Nigerian languages, when we say the Department of Faculty of Linguistics and Nigerian Languages in Ife, in Ibadan, in UNN, in OA, many of these universities are there. How well funded are they? And now universities are being proposed. Another one is being proposed in the name of the president. What's your take on this, Prof?
I think the Right Honorable Kali is just being mischievous. Has been mischievous by saying that he's proposing the establishment of a university for Nigerian languages. And do you know where he intends to cite it? To be cited in Aba. To be cited in Aba. A proposed Tinubu University will be in Aba. At least you can understand the political gerrymandering and gimmicks there. So I salute to Honorable Kadu for the political mischief. But the truth of the matter is that Nigeria is now over universitied compared to our resources. Not that we have too many in terms of the quantum of the university vis-a-vis our population. If it is taken from the guesstimate of the National Population Council or National Population Commission that we are 220 million, the university we should have in Nigeria should not be less than 1,000. Should not be less than 1,000. But universities are not built because of population, and they are not correlated to your population. They are correlated first to need. What do you need the university for? Second, to money, that is the funds, are you going to use it? Third, they are also correlated with available manpower to be able to run that university. And four, they are correlated with their international competitiveness. These are the four criteria the National University Commission should use. I use the word should use advisedly to allow for the establishment of universities. But as it is common to the generation of politicians nowadays, starting from the time of Ambrose Folorunsho Ali, the former governor, the late governor of Bende State, who was the first to start domiciling universities within the villages of the governor that was establishing them. Now, Nigerian politicians have turned university to rural amenities. You even find some establish their state universities and then distribute the branches of those universities across the local government so that they can be really grassrooted and localized and ruralized. Now, that kind of political gimmickry has failed us, not just in quality, it has also failed us in terms of the cost of maintaining those universities. I think Nigeria is over universities. Do you know we have some states in Nigeria that have 3 universities? Just the state government that has not succeeded in paying and improving the welfare of their teachers in secondary school very well. They are going to establish universities, 3 of them. A good example is Ondo State. Another one is Ogun State. And some states that have not even fulfilled they are counted as educational less developed states, ELDS. Education less developed. That means they are so woeful in the trajectory of their children or their students passing, even getting 5 credits, including English and mathematics, to even attempt to say that they are going to university. Those states, including Sokoto, has gone to establish a state university. Imagine Sokoto founding a state university when it has not fulfilled its educational less developed quota in the University of Lagos, where if any Sokoto indigenous course 200, we read any course, including medicine, in the University of Lagos. That state, that the total number of students that was able to pass WAEC with 5 credits, including English and mathematics, was less than 300 last year. It has gone to establish a state university. How about that? I think this generation of politicians are a disgrace to the Nigerian educational system. They have made universities to be nothing, just one a penny university. Every senator now wants to bring a university to his backyard. Every one of them. We won't even put one university somewhere at an obscure corner of a state, pretending that university is a university of medical services. You will wonder what is the medical problem of that area that they are establishing. Every university should be correlated to a problem solving purpose.
Prof, we have to run now, but I guess you hold the same argument for the Federal University of Agriculture and Tropical Studies that is being proposed in the Senate. It's supposed to be cited at Iragbiji in Osun State. That was proposed by Senator Ogunyemi Bamidele.
Yes, whatever university they are proposing, I pray in the name of God that they fail. It's just is it not a proposal? May that proposal fail. People cannot think that they will be ruralizing universities and then expect that the quality will increase. Okay, this one that Kalu is proposing with respect to the study of Nigerian languages. Have they studied the trajectory of admission into Nigerian languages in existing universities to discover whether there is a need to establish one specifically for Nigerian languages? For example, how many people apply to read Yoruba, Bini or Edo language, Fulfulde, that is Fulani's language, Hausa and Igbo languages in all the 22 universities in Nigeria that offer them? How many? How many? Except when people cannot get admitted into law, into English, as well as into dramatic arts, then the reject of all these courses are pushed into those departments. Only for them within 2 years, because it takes a lot of talent to maybe study indigenous languages. It's not a joke. It's like going to read music without you knowing how to play a single musical instrument. You were not a member of the choir. You were not doing anything. Just join music. You will fail flat. They have been failing. Within 2 years, you will see that the university will advise them that they cannot benefit from university education. Can you please go after spending 2 years?
Prof, we have to run now.
In studying indigenous languages, and it is not a thing that you go and establish a university for specifically. It's a waste of resources.
All right, we have to run now, but would like to take your part in short. And I'd like to ask this question and take this as your part in short. Do you still trust President Bola Ahmed Tinubu enough to turn the corner and bring Nigeria to a state of prosperity?
Why not? Absolutely. The man has spent 16 months in the saddle. And those 16 months have been tumultuous, no doubt about it. Painful reforms, painful policies that are supposed to have been implemented more than 20 years ago, which he himself, when he was outside of government, opposed. Now he's implementing them. So the language is never said die. So I still believe in fatherland. And according to Section 23 of our Constitution about ethics, believing in our government and being patriotic enough is one of the duties of good citizenship. I think it is not only bad governance we need to remove from Nigeria. We can also remove bad citizenship. So if good citizenship backs good governance, then you are going to see Nigeria grow well. But I'm not expecting anything significantly positive with respect to Nigeria's fiscal and monetary policies or the growth in the economy in the next 3 years. I think these first 4 years or the remainder 3 years of this government will be spent also in economic and political re-engineering. It will not going to be that. It's not going to be it's not going to be a tea party at all.
All right. We want to sincerely thank you, a lawyer, public affairs analyst, associate professor of economic history at
Professor of economic history.
Professor of economic history. I
Yes.
noted, sir. Thank you very much, Professor Adetunji Ogunyemi. Thank you for your honesty every time we have you on the program as well. One of these days, we'll get to talk on other things as well, because as a patriotic Nigerian, you have said, we should believe as a citizen in the workings of our government, although many persons will say why we are believing the lifestyle, ostentatious lifestyle of the leaders doesn't suggest that we are in the same boat together. But then that will be a conversation for another day. Thank you, Prof, for your time and take, sir.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. And that will be where we take a halt today. You know, we just spoken to Professor Adetunji Ogunyemi there, and trust us to be on this matter. The reason why we do this is for Nigeria. Everything that has to do with this nation to be discussed so that we make better decisions as a people, and of course leaders at all levels will listen and do what is right, and that is exactly what we continue to do. Femi Ojo is my name. Make a return tomorrow. By God's grace, please stay alive. Evelyn.
And of course, I'm Evelyn Ohiolei. Thank you for doing this with us. We make a return tomorrow, but of course, stand around for spring trends coming right after this broadcast.